Welcome back to Be Productive. I hope you have a pen and paper ready because we are talking about money, money, money. We know we want to be able to grow and we want to be able to grow that bottom line. So, we are getting ready to talk all about financial management for growth. And to help me with this conversation, I am bringing back my friend, Rob Tritt. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hi, Clara. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This is going to be a fun conversation because, everybody wants to make money.
Mhm.
And we want to make sure, again, we are setting ourselves up to do this the right way. So, this is something that you work with companies on day in and day out. So, talk to us a little bit. We're talking about financial management practices. Why are they so crucial in sustaining financial growth for a company?
So they're crucial. It all comes back to the same advice probably every business owner has heard over and over again: know the numbers. You've got to know your numbers. And unfortunately, most business owners just don't. If they don't know the numbers, they're flying blind. They're guessing. So that's going to be the biggest thing, is to understand what the numbers are, because the story, every decision that you need to make is going to be in knowing the numbers.
Mhm.
Um, if, expenses, like expenses, for instance, if you don't know how much your company is making, if you don't know how much your company is spending, then how are you going to be able to guide the direction of the company? In that case, you're not really, you're not investing, you're gambling. And that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to gamble.
Mhm.
Everything should be the expense. When we spend money, we should be looking at it. How are we going to get return on investment?
Yeah.
Not gambling. If you want to gamble, go to Las Vegas. Uh,
Exactly.
don't start
Yeah,
a
we need to
business.
be smart. We need to be smart. And like you said, to measure and track everything so that as we are taking those calculated risks, as we are investing in the growth of our business, we're doing it in the right ways. One of the things that we also know is that the environment changes each and every day. And as a company grows, it's also about this word sustainability. We don't want to have this dynamic that I refer to as the peaks and valleys, where we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. That causes a lot of stress. And again, it's about creating that long-term sustainability. So how can companies start to, create a foundation of longer-term sustainability, especially during uncertain times?
So yeah, looking at your sales, understanding the product mix, where those products and services, how they sell throughout the year. If there are peaks and valleys, then we want to implement strategies to offset those things. A great way of doing that is putting in place products that aren't vulnerable to deviations in the market, or are seasonal. So let's figure out what products we can put in place to offset the ups and downs of some of those other products.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. And I started doing this in my own business. I was noticing that my speaking business especially is very busy September till about February. That's when people again have their slower times. They want to do the business planning. So I had to really look at what are some things I can do to leverage my skill sets in the summer months. So creating some, mid-year strategy sessions and some other things that were going to be a little more easily attainable for people to get to in the summer months so that again it can be more sustainable. And I think all companies can do this. And you're right, you may have some projects that are some products that could be seasonal, but maybe bringing in some tried and true run so that again you can have more of that sustainability. And if not, leading into the next thing I want to ask you about is this thing called budgeting. And people don't always like to look at the budget, they just want the budget to take care of itself. But again, we have to be strategic with our budget because that's also a big consideration. So, talk to us a little bit about budgeting and the role that that plays.
Yeah, budgeting, and I'm going to say pairing that with forecasting properly, um, understanding where the money is going, how we're going to spend the money, and looking at how much we can afford to spend
Mhm.
throughout a quarter or a year, whatever. Um, that's obviously very important, because we can't spend money that we don't have, and so it's important that businesses business owners, they understand how much money they have coming in and how much money they have actually have going out. So keeping track of your expenses, and then managing the income based on those expenses, and also obviously reviewing expenses regularly to make sure that those expenses aren't getting out of hand. Look for categories that are growing faster than other categories, um, or expenses overall are growing disproportionate to the income.
Yeah.
And so by budgeting, we will understand the ins and outs of the money, and can properly plan for that expenses.
And from your expert perspective, how
Mm.
often should a business owner be reviewing their budget?
Well, I say all the time, constantly, but realistically, at least monthly.
Yeah.
They should be able to basically recite
Mhm.
their, the ins and outs. If someone asks them, "What is your budget for this week?" They should know.
No, yeah. Again, the numbers tell it all, and we have to be able to do that. Now, what would you say, when it comes to budgeting, forecasting, and, doing these things, what would you say are maybe some of the biggest pitfalls or, missteps that company leaders make when it comes to these areas?
The biggest pitfall is just not doing it.
Mhm.
It's not a lot of fun to do these kinds of things. The work that we need to do in order to keep the company focused and on track is not always a lot of fun. You know, so it can be tedious, and business owners, they like to keep their hands in what they enjoy doing.
Right.
But unfortunately, um, it's important to understand how the money comes in and out. Uh, just a regular review of the books, going through them on a regular basis and understanding is really the most important part.
It is. And again, if you want to have that long-term sustainability, you have to do these things. And like you said, just setting aside, maybe a few hours each month, to just kind of make it part of your system. You can't just delegate it out to somebody else because again, at the end of the day, you're the owner. You're the one, the buck stops with you. So you've got to be a part of it. You have to review it because you can only grow when you really have all the information.
Yeah.
So I love everything that you have to say. You really have a really strong hold on these. How long have you been doing this? How long have you been working with, companies, leaders, and helping them with this type of strategies?
Um, 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been with my company. That I've had a company in place, and so we work with professional services businesses,
Yeah.
um, to help them with their operational needs. We also work with help them with their IT, uh, to some limit, to some degree. We can certainly help with that. Um, their sales, their marketing, um, and then we also want to help them achieve their goals. So we put projects in place to help them achieve the goals that they had in place or that they wanted for themselves when they started the business.
Yeah.
And then we can also set up a framework for them that they can use to grow the business without the stress and frustration that they may have had in the past.
Perfect.
So I'm on LinkedIn, of course. You can find me at Rob Tritt. My website is projectpartnergroup.com, and you can call me at 770-256-8216 or email rob@profitpartnergroup.com.
Love it. Rob, thank you so much for being here. And for all of you that are, watching and following, you've got to look at the numbers. Just like Rob was saying, it's all about tracking and measuring. You are not going to know if you're going in the right direction without really looking at the results that you're having. Because you might have a great month, you might have a great season, but you need to understand why. Because if things are working, we want to make sure we understand why so we can keep things going in the right direction. So just don't take things for granted. Don't just leave things up for chance. Take control of the situation. Get yourself an expert like Rob to be able to look over everything at that high level and make sure that you are putting yourself in a position to win long term and to create that sustainability. Because at the end of the day, it's all about being productive. Stay tuned because we'll be right back for more.